What is up, YouTube? We're gonna do maybe 1 or 2 more book reviews here. Just knocked over my phone trying to set up the camera the first time, but that is totally cool. First, I'll show you guys the bookmark from this book that I'm about to review. This was from when I was in middle school. I made it from a little admit to class school card from my middle school that I went to. But anyways, the one we're going to be talking about here is The Acts of King Arthur and His Noble Knights by John Steinbeck. So this was rewritten by John Steinbeck. I can't remember quite when. Really interesting book regardless. I know it was rewritten. The original story was written by, I can't remember exactly who, but someone way before. It was written by someone way before, and a long time ago in like the medieval times. And John Steinbeck traveled to the same place that the original author wrote the book, and rewrote it because the original author, he wrote the books just based off of like vocabulary and knowledge that he like learned just through like writing. And you know, obviously we know a lot more about vocabulary and English and everything now. So, you know, it was written a lot differently when John Steinbeck came back through and rewrote the book. But, you know, it was very well written because of the way that he went about it, because of all the research that he did into the book, or into the original story that was written, in addition to actually traveling to the place where the book was originally written. So, you know, it feels more realistic. But this is probably one of the absolute best books I've ever read. It's super great. You know, it's about fantasy, and it's about, you know, Merlin and King Arthur, and it's very interesting and very cool. And it goes through and talks about, you know, the different knights that were of the Round Table and some of the things that they did, some of the quests they went on. Gawain, talks about Lancelot, and, you know, King Arthur, obviously, then Merlin. And it's just really interesting, and it's really fun and good book to read. As you can see, this is a very old copy of the book. It's definitely been through some stuff. I really think you guys would enjoy it. You know, it talks about, there's a portion of the book where one of the knights is training to become better, and he uses like the sword, and I think it's like a weighted sword, and he uses it every day, and it talks about it breaks down his muscles and builds him into like a better, stronger person. And it's just very interesting. And you know, there's a lot of cool stuff that happens in the book, whether it's like at the very beginning when Merlin disguises himself as one of the kings, and he goes and impregnates the king's wife and gives birth to King Arthur, I believe. Yeah, it's like talking about King Ben or whatever. And it's just such a good book. There's so many different layers to it. It's so well written. It's so quick. It's so fantasy filled. It doesn't even, I mean, it feels like you're reading, you know, a children's novel, which I guess it kind of is. But, you know, it's really great. It's really cool. It talks about all the knights of the Round Table. It talks about Mordred. It talks about Merlin. It's just such a great book. I really do believe you guys would really enjoy it. You know, it has the wedding of King Arthur. It has like, you know, Morgan Le Fay in it. It's super cool. And and it talks about, of course, Lancelot. So, you know, it's really well written and good. And it's just like, it probably will not take you that long to get through, just because of how interesting and fantasy filled it is. So, you know, if you really like stuff like this with a lot of magic and a lot of adventure and things that are well written, things by like John Steinbeck, I would definitely recommend it. He's definitely one of the greatest American authors that has ever lived, in my opinion. And, you know, I definitely like to read more of his works, but I think this one in particular was very, very intriguing and interesting to me. I've had this book for a very long time. Someone else has had this book for a very long time before me, very obviously. But you know, it's just a great book. I think it's really good and really well written. And you'll see how well written it is if you go to read it. And you know, just even the little things that he does to make sure the book is pertaining to the, it's like, you know, it's dead on into the original, like, you know, as far as traveling to the country where the book was originally written. I mean, it just shows the dedication and the commitment of his authorship and his writing. So, you know, I remember reading this. I loved it, and I definitely wouldn't mind reading it again. So I definitely recommend that you guys check it out. Again, John Steinbeck, The Acts of King Arthur and His Noble Knights. Super cool book. So it says, okay, so it's originally from the manuscripts of Thomas Mallory and other sources. So that's where the original is from. I would not recommend that you read that unless you're a very advanced level of reader, because if it's difficult for John Steinbeck to read the Old English version, it'll probably be very difficult for you to read. So I would definitely try John Steinbeck's version, because you know what he did was he went through all these manuscripts and he rewrote them so that, you know, people like me and you in the modern day can read it and you know, still have the same great stories, but you know, it's just more developed into the vocabulary that we use in modern day. In addition to you know, John Steinbeck being an insanely good author and having spent years upon years developing this book. So definitely check it out. I think you guys would really enjoy it. This is like one of the best pieces of literature I've ever read. That's it. I appreciate y'all watching. Keep getting them gains and stay healthy, boys. Keep reading.